I think we are live. Got it. I hope we're live. Standing up today because I was just practicing my violin over there. And I just felt like for this particular topic, we need to stand. So if you want to position yourself so that you can stand while you're watching this, that would be really good because we're actually going to do something in motion today. Welcome to this deep dive series. I'm Elle. I'm the creator of this series, and I'm the creator of the pressure-free method. My business is called Pressure-Free Living. And what I mean by pressure-free is that no matter what challenges, stressors, triggers, crap happens to you, you can stay free of triggering the fight or flight stress response. And if we can prevent the release of stress hormones from constantly going out in your body mentally and physically can start to really heal, and you can start to behave in ways that are your true self, not your stressed out self. So I am still in Pentwater, where I gave the retreat this weekend. It was really amazing. If you're interested in a pressure-free retreat, in staying in touch with what I do and how I coach people, just drop me a DM. I would love to have you on my mailing list. Make sure you can keep connected to us. I'll be doing my next live retreat out in New England somewhere. I haven't chosen the exact spot yet based on some people that I know want to come, and I want to make it easy for people to get there. My preference is in the mountains of New Hampshire, where I found a very cool spot last year. So we'll see what happens. So I can keep you posted if you want me to, and just drop me a DM with your best email address. So tonight, what we're going to focus on is confidence. And when we were at the retreat, we were right here, like in this room for some of the retreat, and then in another spot where we would gather and congregate. And it was while we were in this room, we were talking about confidence. And one of the members brought up a really great point from something she had learned from some coach. And I can't remember the name of the coach she learned this from. But what we were talking about is that there's some elements that have to happen before you can be confident. You can take a stage confidently. You can go in front of a meeting confidently. You can go onto the field or the ice or the court confidently without triggering the stress response. I'm going to share some definite tools tonight, but first I want to dive into these ideas. So before we can act confidently and feel confident about what we're doing, it takes these three elements. The first one is courage. And with that courage, to me, is an intention, a vision. Like you have a real intent to do something, whether that's play a violin or read a poem or give a report to a meeting at work. So you have an intention to do something, and it takes some courage for you to believe in your heart that yes, you can do it. There's so many reasons why it takes courage, why it doesn't just come naturally for many of us. So your first step is to really allow yourself to feel a bit courageous. And a lot of times the stress is in our head, so I encourage you to get into your body, which is why the very first tool that I teach groups and my individual clients is the pressure-free celebration Ferris wheel. The Ferris wheel is emotion, and that's because if you are an adult, one of the fastest ways and one of the only ways that you can quickly create new neural pathways and change up a habit is to do some sort of large motion that is unusual from what you usually do. So most people are not going around like this all day. So that's why I have you imagine a Ferris wheel in front of your face, and you're just grabbing one of the cars and just pushing straight up, not pushing straight up. So go ahead and do it with me. I hope you're standing up, and I just want you to push up into the air. It's a little unusual. Hopefully you smile a little bit. Also push up again and hold your arms up in the air. And now bring your arms down out to the sides like this, all the way down, and don't change the position of your ribs. And you'll realize that your ribs have elevated up. Like if I do it, watch. I get taller on the screen. Watch that again. I'm taller on the screen. So are you. And then bring your arms all the way down like this, but keep your ribs where they are. And you just opened up your posture, your chest. If we go into fight or flight, if you're scared for any reason, you're going to want to tighten and protect yourself. But by pushing up like this, it's exactly the opposite. So you're opening your body which would make you vulnerable if you really were under attack. But you're not under attack in most situations. So if we can do this, the other thing that happens when you go like this large motion, you open up those neural pathways, and now you can create a new habit quickly. You can choose your response to whatever it is you're about to do. So pressure-free celebration Ferris wheel, great, easy tool. Combines a few things. The large motion, smile. So you keep neuropeptides going in your brain, these little molecules that allow the neurotransmitters that keep your cortex and your hippocampus working for you in action. So you'll smile a little bit because this is kind of a funny thing to do, right? And then when you come down like this and you leave your chest open like this, then your posture is informing your brain that there's no way you're under attack. So courage, if you want a little courage, push your Ferris wheel. Your body is going to tell your brain that you can be courageous. Commitment is the second word. These are all C words. And for those of you who take my course, you know how much I love C words. So commitment, if you are going to, public speak or be on stage or do a sport or excel in sales, excel in anything that you're doing, it's going to take some commitment. So are you willing to make that commitment? Are you just playing around? Are you amateur in your profession or are you professional? There's a real distinction there. So commitment in terms of time, energy, money, how do you need to make that commitment? I need to buy my violin some new strings. That's a commitment I'm going to make over the next 4 weeks because Brouillard needs new strings. I need to do that. So that would be a commitment action. So what sort of commitment can you make to what it is you wish to achieve? And I would write that down. I would really write down your commitment. When I'm doing an intake session, and I very clearly remember one, this one was with a teenage boy. He was 17, he was a senior. It was early in the fall and he was not doing well in school. And his mother had called me to come and do an intake session to see if he could be my client. Now he knew other people who had worked with me in his school, and he knew the possibility of what Pressure Free could do for him. So we sat down and we did the opening session together, the free one that I offer everyone. And then at one point, I could just kind of tell there was some resistance in him. So I point blank asked him this. I don't always ask this of people when I'm first working with them, but this particular boy I did. I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to make some changes so that you can achieve what you want to have happen here, pass your classes and do better in school? And he was a 6. And so I let him know that I only work with 9s and 10s. Like if he's a 6, then he's probably not open to even hearing what I'm sharing. And he's certainly probably not open to actually doing the actions. So I talked with his mom and I actually offered to coach her because she was so stressed out over his situation. And I also said, I don't know what it takes. Sometimes I'm like a last ditch effort for some parents, like they've taken away the car and the phone and you can't go out and you've got to get your work done. And they're at wit's end, not knowing what to do to help their children be motivated. And that's when they come to me and say, hey, I don't know if you can help my child get motivated, but let's try it. And in this case, I just said, when you're ready, when you're a 9 or a 10, I'm right here for you. But I never heard from him. So that's one of the very few times that a client didn't actually come on and work with me. But the commitment level has to be there. So for your particular situation, what is your commitment level? How committed are you to making something happen and to doing the work? Third step are capabilities. So what sort of capabilities do you need in order to achieve what it is you wish? Do you need to take lessons in something? Do you need to step up how you practice? Maybe practice more every day or more focused every day? Do you need to enlist some help? Like, what are your capabilities? What do you need to actually achieve what you want to do? So courage, commitment, capabilities, those 3 elements will help you feel extremely confident because you've covered all the bases of what it takes to be able to do this thing that you wish to do. If I just thought I was going to get on stage and and play a piece that I had never practiced, it's called sight reading, then I can't really determine how well I'm going to do. I've never played the piece before. So that's the kind of thing where you can, just take a little time to think about what is it that I need to have in order so that I will feel more confident. The second thing I want to share tonight is actually I want to share a story before I share the last tool. This story is happened back in 2008. In 2008, I had joined the faculty at Keller Community College to teach violin and viola. And we were a few months into this school year when the director of music came to me and said, "Hey, I'd love for you to play on the faculty recital." Now, I had been a violinist for years, but then I moved into conducting at the end of my college career in graduate school and beyond graduate school. So I was playing my violin some. I was still playing in some symphonies and things, but certainly not the rigor that I had been when I was undergrad. And so now that's what I'm teaching, but I had not played a recital since my senior year in college. I didn't play a violin recital in my graduate work because I was a conductor. So when this director asked me if I would play, I immediately said yes, because I can pull something easily together with our accompanist. In fact, my mind instantly went to a Telemann suite that would be wonderful to put together. And we actually did play it on one recital. But what was happening in my practice room or my teaching studio was something very interesting. Prior to Pressure Free, I was a very impatient person. So if a student would arrive late to my studio, I was fit to be tied. I don't have time to waste. It was a very, you could use the word busy back then. I'm not busy anymore because I'm pressure free, but I do a lot of things. So I want things to be on time, and I'm a very structured person typically. So if a student did arrive on time, I was like, oh, this is such a waste of time. Why am I even doing this? And so I thought, I came to the conclusion that those thoughts were not helpful, because when the student did arrive, I had a little chip on my shoulder about them being late. So I decided to switch it up. I decided to take the clock out of my studio, which I did. I actually, in the room I taught the most in, I took the clock out and I would put it out on the bench when I was teaching, and then I'd put it back in when I was done. I did this because there's also a clock in the hallway. I told my students, when you're sitting out there waiting for your lesson, when it's your turn, come in. I'm going to keep teaching this student while you get your violin out, and then they will start putting their instrument away when I start teaching you. It will be seamless. And I don't need to worry about a clock. I don't need to know what time it is. I can go longer with the lesson if someone doesn't walk in. I just get to make it happen. That was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. The other thing I started to do is when my students would come in, two things. If they were late, we don't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. That's just a waste of our time, a waste of breath. Now you're there. Now let's work. Doesn't matter if you're 10 minutes late. I promise to give you the best 15-minute lesson I can. That's my job. The other thing I ask them to do is never tell me if you don't practice. I'm going to know the minute you play anyway, so you don't have to tell me that you didn't practice this week or didn't have much time to practice. I'll already know that. My job as an instructor is to take you where you are on that day, and by the time you leave my lesson, that you are a better player. That is my job, and to give you all the tips and support that you can use during the week so you can help yourself become a better player. That's my job. So I really changed up my studio. Gerald Blanchard, the director of our music, asked me to play in the faculty recital. So I started to institute another little thing, actually before he asked me to do that. If a student, if I had downtime, like a student had left and another student hadn't arrived for whatever reason, I started playing a piece by Johann Sebastian Bach that I hadn't performed it since college. Since high school. I played it for a competition in high school. And then I played it a little bit in college. But the time that I really worked on it was when I was like 17 years old. So I started to just play around with playing it. And I would get so far and then I wouldn't remember it, and so I decided that I would use practice time when I'm waiting for a student on that particular piece. So I had gotten to about a third of the piece, all from memory, never looking at the music, working out phrases, just having a really great time with it when I got this request to play for the recital. So immediately I thought, oh, I'm going to play with my wonderful colleague, Dr. Mark Wells. We can do Telemon together. And then this voice deep inside me said, but you're working on the Bach. Play the Bach. And I go back to the voice, but I only know a third of it, and the recital's in a few weeks. And then the voice said, trust, you can do it. Now, as a faculty member, it's totally valid for me to use my music. In fact, I think on that particular recital, everyone used their music. But I was not practicing this piece with my music. It was completely memorized. That's what I was working on. And I thought, okay, I am going to do this piece from memory on the faculty recital, which, again, I hadn't done something like that since I had been like 17. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do this thing. And I decided that I would keep my routine of learning the piece without looking at the music, but I printed off the music, put it on a clipboard, and I kept it in my car. So as a mom, taking her kids all over the place and sometimes waiting at school to pick them up, I would have the clipboard and I'd look at the music and I would decide how I wanted to work on phrases, not with my violin. And then in my studio, I was purely with my violin with no music. I played that recital. I did not crash and burn. And I played the whole piece. And it was truly one of the most uplifting and exciting things for me because it wasn't an easy piece of music. And so I'm sharing that story because, again, first of all, I had to have the courage. I believed that I could, in the short amount of time I had, using my method, learn this piece. I had courage about that. And I decided to put my stake in the ground and do it from memory. Secondly, commitment. I worked on that piece every down moment in my studio. I didn't have much time at home and I was studying it in my car. So that was my process. But I was very committed. Third, capability. Now, with this particular piece of music, I could change things up, unlike the way I had played it when I was 17. So I started having some fun. I worked on phrases. I played phrases very uniquely. It was so cool to do. And then I played for my colleagues. Like I never will forget when I asked Nancy Brown, who was director of our music school that my husband and I created. I asked Nancy to come and listen to me. And she gave me great insight. She goes, I think you're rushing the ends of your phrases, which is so funny because that's something I talk to my students about all the time. She goes, yeah, I think you can just give them a little more space. And then I played for Brooks Crantier, who was the conductor of our boy choir, wonderful musician. And Brooks had some wonderful suggestions, but then he was like, oh, the first big phrase ending like a third of the way through the piece, I had landed there's two D's in an octave. I just landed it perfectly in tune. And he goes, my God, you landed that perfectly in tune. Like it was such a hit for me to feel like, oh yes, I'm doing something well. So that was kind of how I did all of that. And it was really, really a powerful experience for me. So let me give you another tool. And this tool, I took the first initial concept from one of my mentors. I put two mentors in my life right away when I started my business, one in 2010 here in Michigan and one in California in 2012. And that was Robert G. Allen, the best-selling author. He wrote the preface to my parenting book, Pressure-Free Parenting, that sits out on Amazon. You can grab it if you want. And he was talking about the fact that, when we're standing in our space, we have like space around us. You can feel very confident right in like about a 3 to 5 feet range around your body. It's kind of where your energy field goes. And so you can feel very confident there. So what I've been working on with people is that, especially if you go to take a stage, and this was something I did very intuitively starting when I was quite young. When I take a stage to conduct or to perform, especially as a soloist, um, I actually move the energy out in front of me before I take every step. So it's like I expand my energy out so that when I walk out, I'm completely in my own energy and very confident. So I'm going to take a couple steps back, and you can do this too. And so we're standing here. And what I want you to do is, like, you're in your space. And now I want you to imagine that you're moving the space out in front of you, and just take a step, and then a step, and then a step. And you're just moving the energy first and then stepping into it. This is such a strong way for you to feel safe. And I want to add something to this feeling safety bit. So again, I go back to music. I learned this in conducting. If I'm conducting up here in an orchestra, just not going to be very impressed at all, because up here is very weak. If I want them to play loud, I better come down lower to my energy center. Like, I'm going to go down, be boom, 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 like really big and down here. This is where my power is. This is where your power is down in your abs, actually your lower abs. So if you put your hands on your belly and now relax your belly and lift your ribs up, and then go down over your belly where it tucks back in a little bit, and now relax that spot. That spot there is your safety spot, your love, your money, and your power. And I'm talking about deep empowerment from the inside, not force, but deep empowerment. And when you can open that up and lift your ribs up and lengthen the front of you, you're just going to have so much more feeling of confidence. And it's like this pilot light is deep inside you. It's always on, you're alive. But when you relax lower abs way down there, it's like a hot air balloon of energy. And now this energy comes and streams out of you. And you can step in front of a meeting and you can pause there for a moment, and people are going to look at you. I've had clients say, I feel like a magnet now. People come to me. And that's because you've expanded all of this. You've expanded your power. You're walking confidently. And when you relax that safety spot, because I should explain why we need to relax there, our abdominal muscles are like body armor, and so are the muscles on our throat. I talked about that the other night. So when you relax your lower abs, your abdominal muscles, and you relax your throat, you're literally telling your brain you must be fine, because there's no reason to go into fight or flight, to fight or run away. If the front of your body is soft, you're saying, I am okay. I'm okay. I don't need to fight. I am strong. My body coach, Lila Veronica, she's working with me right now on my collarbones, like opening this area here. I've held a lot of tension in there for years, and even violin playing will hold a lot of tension in there for me. So it's like your collarbones, she says, smile your collarbones wide. So it's like, I'm really thinking about that now. The other thing you can do is just do a little body scan, like we talked the other night, and figure out, where are you holding those tensions and what can you relax a little bit. So confidence means that you are relaxed, you're in the flow, you're empowered from the inside out. A lot of us, I really believe probably for a lot of time, our societies have been rather superficial, but I feel like it's really become very superficial as of late. And so when you can start to integrate your inner being and your outer being, you're not just a surface person. You're not faking it to make it, but you actually feel aligned internally and externally. That is one of the promises of the pressure-free method, because it's those stress hormones that can make you feel like such a mess of stress on the inside, but you're having to be calm on the outside just to do your work and just to be taken seriously. So if you're having problems with that, please DM me. Let's talk. You can go to my website too, elleingles.com, and we can have a conversation. You'll see there's a button right on there for a free consultation. You shouldn't have to suffer, and you shouldn't have to be a hot mess of stress on the inside and calm on the outside. And a lot of my clients will profess to that. They're like, everybody thinks I'm totally chill, totally calm. I got all my stuff in a group. But if they could look under the hood, maybe you have some chronic disease going on. Maybe you have allergies or asthma. Maybe you have gut issues or breathing issues or headaches or migraines or hair loss. I was talking to a woman today in a boutique, and she had someone come in and she's losing her hair. She has and hair loss is a stress issue. So unless it's male pattern baldness, which is genetic, if you're losing your hair, pressure-free can definitely help. I had a client text me with and say, does pressure-free make your hair grow? Because she actually has too much hair. Her hairdresser has to thin it. She's like, what are you doing? Your hair is thicker than ever. So these are all signs that you're probably triggering fight or flight a lot more than you really know. I thought I didn't even need my own method, to be honest, but I clearly need it. It changed my whole life. It changed my behavior, changed my ability to be far more patient with people. It actually allowed me to release my true heart, to release who I truly am out into the world. And I have people tell me, thank you so much, Elle, for helping me find the real me. And you deserve to have the real me shine. The real you is not your stressed you. It's not. People will say, oh, that's just the way I am. I'm aggressive, or, I'm very anxious. It's in my family. You don't have to be. The stress response causes half of your anxiety. So if we can just work on that, half of your anxiety is going to go away. And then we can work on the other bits together. So that's what I have for you tonight. I hope it was helpful. So let me just reiterate those C's. So courage and intention, like what is it that you wish to have happen? Really visualize it. Then commitment. You need to make a commitment to what it is you're doing. Maybe that's some practice. Maybe that's some study and research. Maybe that's some sort of daily activity that gets you where you need to go. And then the third is capabilities. What capabilities do you need to have in order to feel very confident when you do take the stage? When I can teach the pressure-free method to athletes, to musicians, to leaders, people, to speakers, they don't have to pee so much. They feel more confident on stage. They actually get to shine in a way they may never have, which is just so wonderful for me to see. It just warms my heart. So if this is helpful, I hope you have a great pressure-free night. And for those of you on Zoom, I am recording this. And for those who are getting this recording, we're going to do 2 more nights. So Thursday and Friday nights, and continue this performance anxiety series to help you just have a really beautiful approach to how you perform your life and your day. Have a great one. Bye.